Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Billy's Blades and Tools. Haven't been on here for a while, but I'm starting to come back a little bit. Just had a lot of things on my plate, got in a little funk for a while, but I want to get back to getting some videos out here. Been a little hot here in central Ohio, so I haven't been out in the garage much, just a little bit at a time, but when the temperature's in the 90s and whatever they call that is up near 100. I stay in the house where it's cool. But anyway, I'm going to be back here for a while. I'm going to do I guess you would call it a tool video this time. I'm going to talk about a four-wheeler that I've been working on for a while. Took me a little longer to get some stuff done that it needed. It needed a lot more stuff done than I anticipated. But, that's the way it is when you buy used stuff. I had to rebuild the whole front end, all the suspension and that, so all that's good. When I bought it, the guy that bought it from said that he had changed the oil on it, so looked at it and it was all fresh. So rode it for a while, took it out to my daughter's property, and we used it several days and not too many hours, but it got ridden a lot. So I thought, well, I got it back at our house, and I'd like to change the oil. I'd like to know what kind of oil is in it, make sure that it doesn't look bad when I drain it. So I decided that I was going to change the oil on it. So I'm going to show you the four-wheeler, show you the lift that I use, and a little bit on how I did it. I didn't videotape it when I was doing the oil change. I ran into an issue, and as most of you know, when you videotape stuff, it takes twice as long to do it, and I wanted to be sure I do everything correct. I wanted to concentrate on what I was doing to make the repair that was needed after I found out what happened on the previous oil change. So let me get this turned around, and I'll tell you what I had to do. I won't be, like I say, I didn't videotape what I was doing, but I can kind of go through it and talk to you about it. So hang on just a second. All right, so here's the four-wheeler I've been working on. It's a 2002 Honda Foreman Rubicon. It's 500 cc's. It's got what they call a Honda-matic, like an automatic transmission in there. There's no shifting. You can manually shift it electrically using these buttons. This little knob here, you rotate it to ESP, and then you can manually shift it with the buttons on the left control. But there's also a drive 2 and a drive 1. Drive 1 is, I guess, more horsepower, speed maybe. And D2 is more torque, which is what I use most of the time. There's a shift lever here that you put it into drive, reverse, neutral, but there's also a low selection there that you can use for using a little more lower end power, lower gearing. So anyway, this is my four-wheeler. I built a box for it to put on the back using stuff I had in the garage already. I had a lot of this OSB wood. I know it's not the best in the world to be using, but hey, it's free. The only thing I had to purchase was this hasp. Everything else I had laying around the garage. Some old hinges, a little overkill, but hey, it works. So anyway, I will put a picture on here of how I had this thing sitting up on its back end. The front end was lifted up in the air where I could access the bottom of the quad. But what happened was I was changing the oil, This thing's got two drains on it. There's one for the oil tank. This thing holds a little over 5 quarts because of the automatic transmission. But there's an oil tank on the front of the motor. It's right there. It has a drain. There's also a drain for the engine, for the crankcase, and then an oil filter underneath. And I had it on my lift. I have a motorcycle quad lift. As you can see, I've got a motorcycle up here working on a friend's bike. Her husband passed away and needs to sell this bike. The carburetors need clean, so I told her I would fix it up for him. So anyway, got this lift here that the quad was sitting on, and in order to access the bottom of it, well, let me back up. I pulled the drain for the front oil tank, let it start draining, undid the filter, went to the back, the crankcase drain that's underneath right about there, pulled the bolt out, drain bolt, and pieces of aluminum came out with it. I'm like, well, great. I guess the hole has been stripped. So upon investigation, I looked at the front drain bolt, compared it to the back drain bolt, and the one that was stripped, the guy that had it before me put in the wrong bolt. The diameter was correct, but the thread pitch was a fine thread pitch versus a coarse. And of course, they jammed it in there and made it work. But as soon as I pulled it out, the hole was stripped. So I had to deal with that. And trying to make that repair while it's sitting on all 4 wheels is very difficult. So I decided I needed to figure out how I can get that thing up on its butt, front wheels up in the air, so I can see the bottom of the crankcase. So anyway, it was up on this lift, and I was trying to figure out how many guys it would take to lift the front end of this thing, because it's a heavy machine. And it came to me one night when I was trying to get to sleep that if I were to take the quad, take the ramp off the back, roll the quad backwards and let the back wheels drop to the ground, and maybe back it up just a little bit more while the lift is down on the ground, and then slowly lift the lift up so that the quad, the front end, will start coming up, and then eventually get to the point where it could rock back onto the back of this rack. That's before I put the box on. So I got to thinking, that'll work. I know it's going to work. I just need somebody here to kind of spot me and make sure everything goes as planned. And it just so happened that the nephews of the lady that wanted me to work on this bike, they were coming over to deliver this bike. And I think the one nephew and his son came over, Nick and Austin. They, after we unloaded the motorcycle, told them what my plan was, and we started doing it. And they stood on each side as I slowly lifted the lift. We had the brake locked on the rear of the quad with some wood blocks just to make sure it didn't start rolling on us. Lifted it up, got to a certain point, and boom, it was on its butt. So that made it easier to access the drain bolt on the bottom, because I now had to figure out how am I going to fix that. So anyway, all right, anyway, so let me get back to talking to you face to face. Okay, so anyway, I got it up on its butt where I could see the bottom of the crankcase, looked at the threads, or where the threads were in the hole, and they're gone. Uh, so I looked online and saw they make a self-tapping drain bolt to repair a 12 millimeter 12 by 1.5 coarse thread hole. So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and order one of those. Uh, the drain bolt's designed so that it goes in, once you get it tapped, self-tapped, the bolt stays in, and in the center of that bolt is another screw that you would loosen to drain the oil. I was like, okay, I'll give that a try. Got it here finally. Took several days. Tried to put it in. Well, first I packed it with grease. That way any chips will get caught in the grease and I can make sure that they don't drop down in the motor. So tried that. I went to put it in. It started to tap a little bit and then the bolt just went right in. The hole was too big for that particular self-tapping screw. I'm not sure what kind of hole it was designed to do, but it said it was 12 millimeter by 1.5 thread pitch, which to me means that it would be bigger than 12 millimeters, but the thread diameter on that was 12.2 and the hole was apparently 12.2. So it just slid right in. So took that out, cleaned it all back up, got all the grease off, sent it back. So my next thing to do, I read somewhere that I know Honda has two different size drain bolts. There's a 12 millimeter and a 14 millimeter with the same thread pitch. And I read on a forum say, get yourself a tap set, a drill bit with a tap for 14 millimeter, and put a 14 millimeter drain bolt in it. So I ordered that, and let me get that here real quick. Show you what I got. Okay, if I can get it out of the bag. There's the drill bit. It's 12.5. Drill that hole out to 12.5 millimeters. And then the tap, they both came together in a set. It's 14 millimeters by 1.5. So in thinking about this, I realized that if I could pressurize the crankcase a little bit while I'm drilling and tapping, maybe that will help keep any chips from falling in addition to packing these things very well with grease. So I tested it. There's a dipstick hole. It's just a small hole for the dipstick. I hooked up my air line, put a little air through it, and felt where the drain bolt was supposed to be, or the drain hole, and air's coming out of there, and say, okay, I think that'll work. So I had my grandson come over when I decided to do this, and I put him in charge of putting a little air through the dipstick hole while I chucked this up in the drill. And I got to tell you, I was a little nervous because if this doesn't work, the engine has to come out, crankcase split, and try to get that fixed or buy a used crankcase for that section. Anyway, so I was nervous. Packed this full of grease, chucked it up in the drill. The grandson put a little air in there, not high pressure, just constant pressure of air, and chucked this up in my drill, chucked it up in the drill. Started slowly, and that just wasn't going to work. I had to pick up the speed a little bit, and of course it flung grease sideways this way, and but it went in really easy. Pulled it back out. This thing was loaded up with aluminum in the grease, so set that aside. Got the tap out. I didn't have a tap holder big enough for this, so I had to use a small crescent wrench to turn it. Loaded it up with grease. Again, grandson, a little bit of air through the crankcase, and just slowly run this in a little bit, back it out. Pick out any chips that were there, make sure the grease was still in there good. In a little bit, back out. Just in a little bit, back out. Finally got all the way through where it was tapped all the way, backed out all the time. Just kept taking chips out as I could. And pulled that out, cleaned it all off. I had purchased a new drain bolt with a magnet in it, so that anything going on in the motor, it will collect any metallic chips made out of steel, not aluminum. And run that in, tested it, works perfect. New crush washer on there. I left it out. So after we were done doing the tapping, got everything all cleaned up, I had another idea that I bought a couple quarts of cheap motor oil. And in order to get it to drain through the motor to come out that drain hole, I'd already put the other drain bolt back in for the oil tank and the filter. So my grandson and I lifted the lift up, and we slowly tilted the quad back down so the front wheels were on the lift, and I just slowly lowered it down. Worked perfect. We were able to push the quad up onto the lift, get the back wheels back up on there, lifted it up in the air, put a drain bolt underneath the, a drain pan underneath it, and I poured a quart of oil down through where you adjust one of the intake valves. That way it runs down through the motor. Doesn't have to go through the oil tank, just straight through the motor. And hopefully grab any chips that might have been laying right there and let it drain out. Couldn't hurt to do that. So I did that. Put the drain bolt in after it was all flushed out. Filled up the oil tank, started it up, checked it, got the correct level, and rode it around for a little bit. No leaks. The hole is repaired now. It's got the correct drain bolt in it. It's got, Honda 10W40 oil in it. So I know what's in it. There's an oil change indicator on the dash of the quad. That has been reset. Now I know that when that pops back up, it's time to change it. I'm not sure what kind of mileage or hours it is that it takes for that to pop up. But anyway, for right now, this is good for the rest of the year. I'll be taking it out to my daughter's place here real soon so we can use that back in the woods. I know my grandson's anxious for it. They had some trees down after a couple storms that went through there, so I'm sure it's going to get used back in the woods to clean up some of the trails. So anyway, I know there's no knife content in here, so I'm just going to throw this up here. This was a gift from another YouTuber. He goes by Cornbread. Most of you know him. He's going through some troubling times right now. Wife's had some bad diagnosis, so they're going through some issues right now. There is an auction thing going on Whatnot. I'll try to post some info on that on here. But this was a gift from him a while back. I've been carrying it ever since. I've been carrying my Frontier 4512 made by Imperial. It's my Frontier knife that I bought. I think I paid $8 for this at a flea market. Cleaned it up a little bit, sharpened it, and it's been good to go. But I've been carrying that just about every day since I got that. His name is Mike. He goes by Cornbread. And so anyway, if you guys get a chance, check out the Whatnot channel. Again, I'll post something up here about it. And they're having an auction for a bunch of knives. Raise money for him. Every little bit helps. So if you guys can do that, guys and gals, I'm sure they'd be most appreciative of that. So anyway, I know I'm getting a little long-winded here. That's about all I got to talk about today. I will be getting back on here with some more knife content eventually. Just summertime's always busy, and I got to focus on family. So anyway, everybody take care, and hopefully we'll see you on the next video soon. Be good.